Well, Kevin, did you see the Mark Zuckerberg interview with Joe Rogan?
I did, and I assume that that's why we're sitting here in our oversized baggy T-shirts and our gold chains.
That's right. Yes, thank you for agreeing to this costume change. Listeners should know that we are wearing very boxy black T-shirts right now and gold chains to try to get us into the mindset of what I'm hoping we can do today.
Yeah. Should we pop a Zin too?
If you have any on you, go for it.
I've got 4. I've got upper deckies here, but if you want one, I'm happy to provide.
Upper deckies?
You never heard of upper deckies?
No.
Dog.
What's an upper decky?
Let me teach you something about straight culture.
Please do.
You know, you're always enlightening me.
Yeah.
About gay culture.
Yeah.
Upper deckies are when you put a Zin nicotine pouch in your upper lip.
That is perfect, Kevin. That is exactly the right spirit that I want to take into this segment. So you watched the Mark Zuckerberg interview on Joe Rogan.
I did.
And what did you think?
I thought it was very long. That was my main thing. Was this meeting could have been an email.
Well, I think that's a fair point, Kevin. But to me, I was so pleased to hear it because finally someone in Silicon Valley was willing to say what we've all been thinking for years now, which is that this town does not have enough masculine energy. You know what I mean? Kevin,
yes.
Sometimes I will visit a company in Silicon Valley and see as many as one female executive. And finally, people like Mark Zuckerberg are starting to ask, when did things get this out of control? And I know you've thought the same thing. You've said that to me off mic.
I don't think I have, but go on.
Now, some people get confused because the most recent time that Meta shared numbers, it had about 2 men at the company for every 1 woman. But this just highlights how powerful feminine energy is, Kevin. What Zuckerberg is saying is that to counteract the presence of even 1 woman at Meta, at least 3 men are needed to restore balance. Now, just to give listeners a bit more of a sense of what we're talking about, I think we should play Mark Zuckerberg talking about masculine energy on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Let's do it.
I just think we kind of swung culturally to that part of the kind of the spectrum where, you know, it's all like, okay, masculinity is toxic. We have to like get rid of it completely. It's like, no, like it's both of these things are good, right? It's like you want like feminine energy, you want masculine energy. Like I think that's like you're going to have parts of society that have more of one or the other. I think that's all good. But I do think the corporate culture sort of had swung towards being this somewhat more neutered thing. And I didn't really feel that until I got involved in martial arts, which I think is still a much more masculine culture.
There's something about being punched in the face that makes you think, my culture has been neutered. You know what I mean?
Yes, I did hear this part of the interview. This went viral. Everyone on my feeds has been talking about these comments that Mark Zuckerberg made about masculine energy being missing from many of our greatest corporations.
Yes.
And this is sort of in the context of all the moves that he's been making to try to make Meta more palatable to people on the right, including the incoming Trump administration. And this was sort of him saying to Joe Rogan in a way that people mercilessly mocked, the real problem in corporate America is that we've been letting this feminine energy take over, and we need to kind of assert masculine energy, and that's our path back to greatness.
Exactly, Kevin. And so as we so often try to do on this show, I have spent all week thinking, how can we be part of the solution here? And so I have come up with a list of ideas that we can bring to the Meta Corporation to help them restore masculine energy to Meta.
Oh boy.
We're going to give Meta a masculine makeover, and I would love to share some of the ideas that I have with you right now.
Please.
Number 1, modify the Facebook like button to display a bulging vein reflecting long hours spent in the gym. What do you think?
I like it.
Something else, whenever you tap it, your phone grunts. Number 2, let's just say the poke is going to work a little differently now, but I can't say how on this podcast. Number 3, transform every conference room at Meta into an octagon, Kevin. Remind workers at every meeting that work is a combat zone and Mark Zuckerberg can strike at any time.
I like this.
We're also changing the name of the finance department to MMA, Mixed Martial Accounting. Number 4, Meta acquires 4chan. It's the largest repository of disturbed 17-year-olds in the world, Kevin, and they could be part of the solution too. Now, the obvious thing to do would be to let them run the human resources department, but I'm proposing that Meta goes further and puts them in charge of content moderation. That'd be some masculine energy.
I sure would.
Number 5. No more of these beta team building activities like making pottery and volunteering, Kevin. Instead, we're going on a wild boar hunt.
Yes.
As Mark shared on the Joe Rogan Experience, one of the greatest challenges in his life is that his ranch in Kauai is absolutely beset by an invasive species of wild boars. And for years now, Zuckerberg has been spending his downtime hunting them with bow and arrows. In fact, do we have a clip of that?
Well, my favorite is bow and arrow. I mean, that's, I think, like the most... That feels like the most kind of sporting version of it.
Yeah, if you want to put it that way. Yeah. I mean, if you're just trying to get meat, it's not the most effective. The most effective is certainly a rifle.
If you work at Meta, I think this should be your problem too. Whether you want to use a bow and arrow or a rifle, report to the Zuckerberg Ranch for further instructions.
Now, do we know what happens if you are a Meta employee and you actually bring a hunting bow into the office?
That's actually one of the main ways to get promoted now. Number 6, replace the water in Meta's data centers with Mountain Dew Code Red.
Oh, I like this one.
Me too. Number 7, in the 2019 film Joker, Kevin, Joaquin Phoenix's character does a famous dance down a set of stairs to signify that he is fully transformed into the Joker. My proposal, we bring those steps to the Meta campus in Menlo Park. You have a meeting with Mark Zuckerberg? Guess what, Kevin? You have to walk up the Joker steps.
I like that.
Because Mark is the Joker now. Number 8. In what many people perceived as a cruel and pointless attack on trans people, Meta instructed managers to remove tampons from the male restrooms at their campuses. But this is a half measure, Kevin, because let's face it, real men don't use toilet paper.
True.
Get rid of it.
Yeah. Are we doing bidets or are we just going raw dog?
Bidets, are you kidding me? There will not be one French thing in those restrooms as long as I'm suggesting ideas.
Okay.
Number 9, employees will now get 1 extra day off a year to do one of the following 3 activities: mow the lawn, watch the game, or hang with the boys. Which one of those would you pick, Kevin?
Hang with the boys, for sure.
Do you even have any boys?
Come on. I've got you.
That's true. We can hang together on our day off. Now, I have one last suggestion to bring up the masculine energy at Meta, Kevin, and it goes like this. We're going to have a hackathon for women. Doesn't that sound nice?
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the end, we're going to take all the best ideas from their hackathon and give them to Meta's male executives. Because what kind of energy is more masculine than taking credit for a woman's idea?
That sounds promising.
Anyway, just my thoughts, Kevin. Do you have any ideas as well?
No, I think that basically covers it. I think with these changes, the Meta Corporation will be fully, what's the opposite of emasculated?
It will be enmanulated.
Enmanulated. And we will have a glorious future run by men. You know, there used to be a time at Meta when things like, when people like Sheryl Sandberg had a seat at the table and famously told women there to lean in.
Yeah.
What's happening with that now?
I'm being given word that they're being asked to lean out, actually. Maybe all the way out. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg announced this week that he was going to cut 5% of what he called the low performers at the company. And that is sort of the ultimate lean out, is a layoff.
Yeah. I did see some Meta employees posting that they were, the way they were going to avoid getting laid off is by getting extremely jacked. So that's an idea there.
I mean, that is now something that we can respect in culture, as we can say, if you have visible muscles, maybe you belong around here.
Yeah. Okay, Casey, how do you, I have to ask, since we are in the Zuckerberg uniform now, minus the $900,000 watch, this is just my Apple Watch, how do you feel? Do you feel more masculine sitting in the studio today?
I am having an almost uncontrollable desire to just wrestle you to the ground and force you to submit. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling like I'm a little insecure, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't think I can pull this off.
You can absolutely pull it off. Everyone looks good in a black t-shirt and a gold chain.
Yeah? Including me.
Yes.
I'm not a big man jewelry guy.
You know what? I haven't been either. But then for our anniversary, my boyfriend and I got little chains.
Yeah?
Isn't that so cute?
That is cute.
Yeah. And manly in kind of a different way.
Yeah.
In kind of like a gay manly way. So yeah, I've recently become chain pilled. See, this is what I love. You start up, you're talking about something super manly, but then you get into it in any degree of detail and you realize, no, it's masculine and feminine energy together in the same place. And isn't that beautiful?
Now, Casey, the one serious thing that I do want to say about this is that it clicked for me when I heard Mark Zuckerberg on Joe Rogan talking about masculinity and masculine energy. that this is what founder mode was.
Yes.
This you can look back at our shows that we did about founder mode last year, and to my recollection, not one of the people in Silicon Valley calling for the return of founder mode was a woman. And I believe that that is because founder mode was an elaborate way of saying, we're big boys and we would like to run our companies like big boys.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I don't want to completely dismiss the idea that people should get in touch with masculine energy. That is a fine thing to do, I think, no matter who you are. I get really concerned when somebody who employs tens of thousands of people starts talking about this in the context of corporate culture and amid a series of initiatives that includes killing off the DEI program and firing your quote-unquote low performers. Like, a clear message is being sent, and the message is not women are welcome at Meta.
But one thing that also struck me as I was listening to Mark Zuckerberg is that it's also reminded me of a conversation that Jeff Bezos had at the DealBook conference just a few weeks ago that I heard, where I was actually surprised. You know, Jeff Bezos was sort of the original sort of tech founder who kind of got super masculine, right? He turned from this like scrawny nerd into this like jacked dude who lifts weights and, you know, has these sort of bulging muscles and, you know, just sort of embraced a masculine aesthetic, I think, earlier than a lot of other tech executives. But I was also struck by his comments at DealBook, where he basically talked about his feelings a lot and how he had started becoming more emotionally open at work about feeling scared or feeling vulnerable. And it just really struck me that, like, that is a person who is actually comfortable with masculinity. When you can talk about emotions in the context of a business meeting and you could talk about them on stage at a business conference, this sort of like LARPing that Mark Zuckerberg is doing, where he is pretending to be super masculine all of a sudden and like enjoy bow hunting and hanging out with the bros, like, it just feels very insecure to me and very much like this is a person who has not yet actually become at peace with his own self.
Yeah, I think that there is something to that. I can't even make a joke about that because it's actually kind of terrifying.
Yes.
To be 40 and sort of still be trying to work out, what are my values? And could I just replace them wholesale almost overnight with a different set? That's kind of a scary proposition for somebody who runs a set of platforms used by billions of people.
Yes, and I hope that whatever Mark Zuckerberg is looking for, he finds it, and I hope that it does not come at the expense of a lot of boors who might needlessly die.
Hey, that's the end of this clip. If you liked what you saw, head on over to our page and subscribe, and you can get the full podcast. We do a show like this almost every week on tech and the future. Head on over there now and subscribe.